My name is Anna Anison, and I'm the founder and CEO of Formulated.by.
So, Anna, what is Formulated.by?
Formulated.by is a boutique marketing agency, and we specialize on servicing B2B enterprise clients in the data science, machine learning, and IoT space.
So, let's unpack that a little bit. What's happening in this space right now?
Oh gosh, there's so much happening. There's just things are changing so quickly that new products are coming out every couple months. AWS just released SageMaker, which is a data science platform. And there's a lot of other data science platforms on the market. But this space is honestly, there's a lot of opportunity still left in the space. And there's a lot of new products that need to be developed to help us solve the data problems that we have right now. So there's a lot of opportunity still to be had in this market.
I come at this from a social media measurement and management perspective. What can help me in data science?
Well, I think, for social media, I mean, the biggest thing right now in marketing and social media is text and segment analysis. Basically taking all of your data, scraping data with such things like tweet R or Python packages, and basically diving into those conversations and finding out patterns, what people are saying about your products. So that is the biggest trend right now as far as social media and data science. And a lot of companies are, creating these algorithms and models to really scrape all of that data and then find patterns. And, for big brands like this is very important for big brands like Coca-Cola and Ford, but it's also important for smaller companies as well, because that really affects sales and everything. You could really find, if you could find the root of, negative feedback, you could really, do a lot to help manage all of that and get more products and turn that into positive feedback. From looking at the industry from these products of data science and what's happening with the marketing and social media, that's kind of the biggest trend that I see so far.
Is it a form of what we once called sentiment analysis?
Yes, yes, that's what I meant, sentiment analysis.
And I hear a lot of labels right now. I hear conversion science, I hear narrative science. What's your take on the landscape right now?
I mean, really, I think it's just, there is a lot of buzzwords in marketing. So I think those are just buzzwords to be used. But I really, the techniques that are really the only techniques that are used are really text miming and sentiment analysis. Those are really the techniques that are used. And you could call all of the other things whatever you like, but those are the main things that are used to do this kind of analysis of social media. So that's my take on that. And I think these discoveries are kind of really shaping the marketing field and what we're doing with all that data, because and then we go back to contextual marketing. And right now, big brands are really focused on context. So really, really figuring out the right time to give you that ad so it's relevant. And so you do create more of a relationship with a brand versus just, something that you see pass by. So that's why that is really important again. And that works with these techniques like analyzing the text and all of that to figure out when to give you that right communication. So you love that specific product and that you really need it at that time. Right. Um,
The Data Science Salon, was that a recent event last week?
Yeah, so the data science salon we just had, so it's the second time we were in LA, and it was a great event. People had, we learned so many new things, and that one was really focused on data science in media and entertainment and the problems that they're seeing there. So we discussed such things as, a lot of, Netflix. We had companies like Netflix, Hulu there, and other big players in the space, like, even BuzzFeed. and they talked about the problems that they're facing. A big conversation is predictive analytics right now, and how do we really, how does Netflix really know what you want to watch, and how is that relevant? So the big conversation was, is it better to have predictions, or is it better to follow your gut, and follow your emotions, and versus what the predictions tell you, so that's kind of the conversation that's going on in the industry right now. Do people really want predictions, right? Do you really want to be suggested something, or would you rather just pick something out on your own? So that was the biggest marketing trend that I saw people discuss at that conference.
I would think the influx of very granular data in this area would raise a couple of issues with regard to what you're talking about. First, what impact does it have on the decision to create certain kinds of content that producers believe, hey, this is going to resonate with our Netflix audience? And then
Exactly.
and then secondarily, the audience side, which is, does serendipity play a role?
Exactly. And that's exactly what we discussed, because that's a big, I mean, there's millions of dollar decisions that happen from data science, right? And today, data scientists are arguably driving these decisions, for the organization. And that is, that's a huge thing. And it's much different of now the way we look at all this data and how the decisions are made. It comes from the data scientist versus from a CEO, and that's another big thing that people should think about, that how important data science is and how important this role is today in making decisions, marketing decisions or sales decisions, all of those decisions.
Is there a balance to be struck between what the data science offers us and what the storytellers want to do?
Definitely. So that's another big conversation. I could tell you follow the space, but definitely. So there is, now they're kind of trying to find the balance with the creatives and the data. How can we use both to make an end product, right? That's going to benefit the end user. So yes, so that is something that people are working towards, but I don't think the balance is there yet. I think some companies go towards more of creative, and some companies like Netflix, they really depend on data.
I suppose as long as they have a successful business model and it's been working well for a company like Netflix, it's going to be hard to walk away from that, right?
Exactly. And they're building, their models are getting more and more sophisticated. And now they're trying to, they can basically predict what you're going to like before you even know that you like it. So, which is kind of, that's a whole other conversation there. But yeah, I think that's where we're going with that for sure.
It could be exploited, it could be hacked essentially by people who can get inside those algorithms.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a big problem right now. We don't have a solution for that yet, because I think if you look at some use cases in the past from hedge funds, if one little thing goes off with your algorithm, you could lose like $200 million in 1 minute. So yes, so there's definitely risks like that. And I think what we could do is, there is a lot of data science for good kind of initiatives out there where they're really working on security, making this safe, and having teams of people that are really, really managing all of the security around the algorithms. So this kind of stuff doesn't happen. But honestly, what I've seen in the industry, there really isn't a lot we could do to protect ourselves from that. It just depends of how companies like Netflix are really managing their security firewalls and all of that. But it is very scary and dangerous. It could be.
From the data science perspective that you come from, does this feel like it's going to move pretty quickly, and will humans be able to respond to that change?
Well, I think, honestly, no, because the industry that I am in, I see where all of these technologies are. And as far as AI goes, it's not there yet. It's really not at a point where people need to be afraid that their jobs are going to be taken or what have you. There are chatbots and such things. I think that is what we're going to see in marketing. That's what we already see. However, the accuracy of those chatbots again, it's not 100% there yet. So I think it's probably going to be another 2 or 3 years before where everything is really seamless. But as far as, really a lot of different other things other than chatbots and predictions and contextual marketing. I really don't think we'll see any other very, very big changes in the next like 2 to 5 years because we still need to make those as better. All of those processes are not there yet. And again, the AI, even at the conferences that I've been to, and we've done AI is still, it's just not, there's maybe three different principles that people talk about, but there really isn't a lot of depth or, the technology is not there yet. So there's a lot of training to be done in the next years to come. There's three different principles and they have to do with very, um, very technical algorithms and things like TensorFlow. It's a Google package, so that actually helps develop AI and also deep learning.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some things that people talk about, but again, that's not there's still a lot of work to be done to create AI such as where it could be very accurate, and talk to you in a human way. There's still a lot more training to be done for those models and those, deep learning and training. It takes a lot of training to get these things to where they need to be.
Human customer service agents weren't 100% accurate either, right?
That's true, and then especially if they're not in, if they're in a different country, arguably you could say that chatbots are maybe more accurate. So it just depends on a use case.
There are situations where people are looking for quick factual information, and those kinds of AI tools are going to be much more efficient. But then there are other times where you really need to talk to a human, and making that kind of decision chain to determine how to direct somebody will be important.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%.
What can you tell my students about the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur? What should they expect?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, I don't think everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. I am one. This is my fourth company, and I started my first one out of college when I was 21, and two of my startups got acquired. The last one was in 2013. But what I would tell people is really you have to figure out if that's really you in a core first before you go out there and try to start a business. But I think if you figure out that yes, that this is something that drives me, I love this, I love taking risks, then definitely you should go for it and pursue your passion. I do, for me in my career, mentorship was really, really important. As far, so definitely find your mentors, figure out what field you want to start a business in or whatever it is. If it's tech, connect with the tech community, find the influencers, ask them for help. If you ask, people usually say yes. And that's, then go out there and do it. But it does take a lot of work. I mean, even now, I mean, my business is 3 years old now. And I mean, I still spend, sometimes there's 80-hour weeks. So you'd be prepared to work really, really hard. But there is a reward at the end because if you put the work in, usually you get something back and things start happening. Not right away. It might take a few years. I think 5 years is a good number to really give yourself to really see big, just start seeing success. So, but no, don't give up because it does take a while. Look at all the companies that are out there. They're not just overnight successes. It took time and pivoting and getting where you're going.
So at 21, just out of college, take us back to what you were thinking and what you ultimately developed and why.
Well, so before that, I had, I've always been the kind of person that I started an eBay business when I was like 16. So that kind of drove me to learn a lot about the online, marketplace and how affiliate marketing works, how advertising works. And I pretty much taught myself all of that stuff when I was in high school. And I got really interested in baseball. Actually, you're gonna like this, Jeremy. So I was really got into baseball, and I couldn't really find anything online. I mean, this was about 12 years ago. There was really nothing for women out there to educate them about baseball. So I decided to start a community, and that's when I started Baseball Beauties, and it was a community for female baseball fans. And I grew that to 250,000 users in about it was like 4 years. And it turned into like, there was just, a bunch of, we sold products, we did meetups. It was a pretty, it was a pretty good active community. And I got approached by a Japanese company, and then they actually acquired my community when I was 25. So, and at the time I was kind of done working with that because I've learned pretty much everything that I could. And that's how I really got started in tech. It was just by starting that business from pretty much from scratch and learning everything and kind of doing and meeting people who helped me as mentors. And Porter Gale, she was the VP of marketing at Virgin America. She was one of my mentors, and she was really, really helpful and, to helping me figure out what to do and how to uh, structure all the marketing and all those things. By then I've developed some credibility in the San Francisco industry, and I actually had some investors approach me to be a CEO of another company called ForceInc, and they invested $2 million in the company, and we competed pretty hardcore with Dropbox. It was around 2000, what was it, like 2011. We were TechCrunch Disrupt, grew the company to 12 million users in a year. However, we couldn't compete with Dropbox, so that did not work out. However, that company is now the kind of the Dropbox in Russia, so it's still alive, but just not in the United States. And then after that, I had another idea for another company and was able to raise $8 million for that company, and that got acquired in 2013. And that was completely different. That company is called Pasari, and it was all about helping a person, so using AI to help somebody deal with death. So if somebody dies, well, the app would help pretty much take care of the body, connect them with a funeral home, close all their social accounts. So I've worked on that for about 3 years until we got acquired, and I didn't want to be in that space anymore because it was very dark. It is a problem that we solved the problem. However, it was a space that definitely you have to have you just have to be the right person for that. That wasn't me. So yeah. So then after that, I got into the data science stuff and really got involved with the data science companies, and Formulatedby came about.
The piece that I'm interested in backtracking to is this closing of social media accounts. That's a real problem, isn't it? If somebody
Oh
passes
yeah.
away, how that is handled, and how do you handle that?
Yeah, so I mean, now there's apps like Pasari, and then there's other apps that actually you have to sign up for before you die, though. That's the thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? If you don't plan or you don't sign up for these things, then it's really, really hard to close your accounts. And I mean, I've done so much research on this. I mean, it's taken people like 5 years sometimes to get access to somebody's Facebook account, like even parents with children who have passed away. So it is a big problem. However, companies like Facebook, for example, they're doing things about it. They're actually turning your page into a memorial now. Other companies like Twitter are following suit. So there are, I feel like this is slowly kind of being solved. However, again, if you talk about credit cards, banks, that kind of stuff, that is really hard to manage, and you should, you should really think about those things and put them all in an app or one of those programs. So if you pass away, the people don't have to deal with that, because it is a big pain in the ass, really.
It seems like each of us leave our own almost big data footprint out there,
Yes.
and
Well,
all of those things you just mentioned.
yeah. So, I mean, and what happens, that's another question. What happens with all that data footprint once you pass? Could somebody else potentially take that over? Yes. So, and that's another thing that we're facing too. There's a lot of fraud of, data fraud of people, pretty much people who have passed away. People take over their data and pretend to be those people. So that's another problem. How do we deal with that? What do we do with that data? I mean, I think there's companies that are working to solve those problems. And I mean, I think we just have to work together and really plan ahead. and manage our own data because essentially it is yours and it's up to you what you do with it before you pass, right? Or how you plan ahead.
But there's also the public side that hasn't really been addressed yet here.
Yeah, well, I think there's let's face it, if you have a smartphone, I think you should probably agree with me to say that you agree to share all that data with the companies that you're sharing it with, such as Apple, right? Or Samsung, because once you have a smartphone, you don't really own your data anymore. I mean, that's really the case. And I think millennials, of people in my age group, we don't really care. We have given up. We pretty much we use Instagram, we use Snapchat, we use Facebook, and all of that stuff. We don't own any of that data. So I think we're not concerned with it really. I think we have to wait and see what happens. I think that data helps products marketers market products better to people. So, I mean, for me, I rather have relevant ads. So, I mean, I don't mind sharing my data, and I think a lot of people agree. However, there's other generations that don't agree. And then there's also younger, maybe even the generation behind us, they might not have the same outlook on this, right? But I feel like if you do have a smartphone and you use Facebook and all those other things, you do not own your data. You just have to, that it is what it is.
What else is coming in the future that we haven't talked about that you think is important for people to be aware of in this area of data science?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think what's coming, and I think more on an advanced enterprise level, is that enterprises really have to look at their business from a model perspective. And really how can they use those models to really change their business, and I think you could really see that a good example is like Blockbuster. They didn't do any of those things, and then they failed as a company. So I think um, companies now have to really use data science, and they have to work on a data science strategy, not just for marketing, but for their business as a whole. Because if they don't, then they're going to die. I mean, I think we'll see a big shift of companies who are gone, and then the new wave of companies that are going to be really, really successful, and they're going to do this really well. Really integrating models into their business as a business, pretty much as a product, as a business, figuring out how to make the products better. And, that's all about, it's going to be more, we're already looking at personalization, but people are going to be even more focused on personalization, like really, really, really personalized experiences. And that's how things are going to sell, I think, in the near future.
Do you think there will be more new players, more Snapchat type apps that completely disrupt the social media space?
Probably not for a while. We have Periscope, we have Snapchat, we have Instagram, and I think Instagram and Facebook are, and more Instagram because people are actually using Instagram a lot more than Facebook now. So I think we should really pay close attention to Instagram. And I mean, I'm there. I personally don't see another player coming on this in the space for another at least 18 months. But so we should really pay attention to what's going on now, because contextual marketing is now going on Instagram, because now you could literally buy things that you see on there with one click. And I think that's going to change the way people shop. I like this, or I follow, and I want to buy this, I could just buy it right there and it'll be shipped to my door, or the drone is going to drop it off at my doorstep, which has happened to me when I lived in San Francisco. Nowadays, social media it's all connected to campaigns and other things. So I think that's what your students should think more strategically and deeply about social media versus just sending out tweets or posting stuff, because it all is really good. Campaigns are connected, it's a big strategy, not just what you're going to put out there. It comes with, here's what we're selling, how we're going to put it out there, and these are the steps, right? I mean, it all works together, honestly. Like when we have an event, we have, there's content, there's advertising, there's PR that goes into the campaign, and social media involved as well. So there is a whole social, it's all connected to a bigger campaign. So yes, I think if you're in marketing, you should definitely be well versed in all of those things: communications, public relations, and content and social media. I mean, it's all you should know a little bit about a lot of things.